Hello and welcome to the Evidence Based Chiropractor. I am your host, Dr. Jeff Langmaid. On today's episode, we are doing a deep dive on Google My Business. We're going to break down the 3 action steps that people can take when they visit your listing, 3 optimization tips that you can utilize to get more traffic and conversions from your listing. We're also going to break down a lot of the stats of what we're seeing behind the scenes at the Smart Chiropractor so you can gauge how you're doing overall and really share why this is probably the most important, I'm going to say, new channel. I think email is still the most important marketing channel you can have, email automation. But I want to break down why Google My Business is probably the most important new channel that you need to ensure that you are optimized for. The numbers are probably going to knock you over, so stay tuned. We'll go through all that and more on today's episode. Before we get started, the Smart Chiropractor has open enrollment going on right now. You can visit thesmartchiropractor.com. We want to help you market better. We have Google My Business, AutoPosting built into the Smart Chiropractor. We have all of the monthly campaigns, weekly topics, daily posts automated through the most popular channels. Your Facebook gets updated a couple times a day. Your Instagram will get updated a couple times a day. YouTube can get updated. Google My Business can get updated. The full email automation, all the campaigns, it's all personalized. We make it super easy. Website opt-ins, a huge area that I want to talk more about in the coming weeks, and streaming video. It sounds like a lot, but it's not complicated. We do all the work for you to ensure that you market your practice better. Right now, open enrollment's going on, which means we have the best pricing available. Our $500 setup fee is not there, and we have 3 awesome bonuses: an upgraded ticket to Access, our clinical conference coming up, a Smart Chiropractor t-shirt, and a pack of optimization guides. A lot of information right there, but check out the Smart Chiropractor. If you listen to this podcast, you like what I'm up to and what I'm doing, I'm going to encourage you, do a demo, get started. We have a satisfaction guarantee. Head over to thesmartchiropractor.com right now. But as I said at the top, we are talking GMB, Google My Business, on today's episode. And the reason that this has come into our radar, I guess you'd say, is that about a year ago, we saw a lot of action on Google My Business. We saw a lot of docs talking about it. We saw a lot of docs starting to get interested in it as a channel that was driving significant patient volume into their practice. So we started to look at how do we bring this into what we do with the Smart Chiropractor, and we have. And it's been an eye-opening experience because I can tell you, it is much more, we thought maybe a grain of sand on a beach, and we walked up and there's a whole beach, right? So there is so much opportunity here that it's substantial. Now, if you think about, if you're not familiar with Google My Business, it's a listing. When somebody types in chiropractor near me, when somebody types into Google your name, your practice name, whatever it might be, there's a variety of things that they could type in, and you'll see a Google My Business listing pop up. That listing is for you and your business. It's not a website. It just lives on Google, but it gives the pertinent information for somebody to theoretically make what I'm going to call a buying decision on. What does that mean? Well, there are 3 primary actions that somebody can take from a Google My Business listing. That is call, which is sweet because over 50% of traffic is mobile now, and you can touch your phone and call, which is super sweet. You can visit the website, click to visit your website, or you can click for a direction request. So of course, Google has your website listed, they have all of your practice address listed, and they have your phone number, and amongst pictures and some other things, and the name. So somebody can either click to call, talk about a hot lead, somebody who's searching chiropractor near me, clicking on a phone number and calling, super hot. Somebody could click and visit your website. Now, this is where website conversions come in so important. Somebody visits your website. Question I have for you is, are you collecting their email? Do you have a pop-up box, a lead magnet, so to speak, that collects people's email that visit your website? If not, you're missing out. So check out the Smart Chiropractor. And the third action they could take is a direction request. So of course, they're in Google, right? So it'd go to Google Maps and they could figure out how to get to your practice. So those are the 3 primary actions that somebody can take on your Google My Business listing. Now, based upon those actions, you could probably already start to understand why this is so important. Those are high intent actions. Google has told us that over just about 50% of the traffic on Google has local intent. which is absolutely incredible. There's nearly 4 billion searches on Google each and every day. So to think that 2 billion of those are locally oriented with local intent is opportunity. And we're going to see the numbers showcase that as time goes on here. But that's substantial. And we also know that 50% of web traffic roughly is mobile at this point, not desktop. So the ability for somebody to click and call your front desk, that's impactful, as you could probably imagine. Click and visit your website. Well, if you have your website set up properly, and having a website's one thing, collecting emails. Your website probably gets 1,000 visitors, 500 visitors a month. If you don't have an email collection system, a pop-up box, you're just missing out on opportunity every single month, and that compounds over time, which is why we do that and tie it into our email system with the Smart Chiropractor so that all of that follow-up is automated. And then, of course, the direction request as well. Perhaps somebody's already scheduled if they're clicking the direction request, but maybe not. Maybe they're going to cruise over to the office, walk in, and see what's going on. So all three of those actions on your Google My Business listing have super high intent. So you can see why this is so critically important for you to have your stuff together. So let's dive into some of the numbers. Then I want to dive into some of the tips as we've seen them. So I pulled a report from our Smart Chiropractor members. I've shared this online, and I'm happy to share it again as well. And this is what's called the Google My Business Leads Report. So it aggregates the data for the Smart Chiropractor members' Google My Business listings, the one that we're doing the auto posting for, which we'll talk about in a few minutes. And this is over the previous 30 days, literally to today. And what we saw is that the Google My Business listings had a lead generation, total leads of 9,423. It was over a 30-day period. 9,000 total leads. 2,972 phone calls. That's literally should be 2,972 new patients into these practices. 3,929 website clicks to the website, and 2,522 direction requests. So the total leads are just those three things added up. The number of phone calls, website clicks, and direction. So about 9,500 total leads. About 3,000 of them were phone calls, 4,000 were website clicks, and 2,500 were direction requests. Now that is absolutely incredible. I mean, that floors me. The first time I opened up this report a couple months back, I nearly my fell on the floor. I mean, this is an insane amount of action and traffic. And let's break that down by practice. So this is the average practice. If we take these numbers divided by the practices, et cetera, that we've set up the auto posting for, here's what those numbers come out to be. And these are super meaningful. So I want you to take these numbers to heart. And when we get into the tips section, to really understand, hey, these tips and optimization strategies are super important. So total leads, the average doctor that we work with had 165 total leads in the last 30 days from Google My Business. That's a lot. They had 52 phone calls. That literally should be 52 new patients coming in the front door. They had 69 website visits and 44 requests for directions. That's per office on average for us, for every Smart Chiropractor doctor that has auto posting enabled over the last 30 days. Again, over 50 calls on average to the front desk, 70 website visits, and 44 requests for directions. That is absolutely incredible. I come back and I say, how many new patients did you have in your practice last month? If it's 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, heck, even if it's 15, man, you really need to take to heart the tips that I'm going to share and the optimization strategies, because these are real numbers of what I'm talking about. I'm happy to share it. If you want to hit me up, Jeff at theevidencebasedchiropractor.com. I'll send you a screen grab so you can see it for yourself. But these are impactful numbers that can really change your practice. And that's exciting, right? When we see Google My Business listings generating this much activity, we know that there's so much gravity there, right? There is, man, talk about opportunity. And if you're not optimized, you're missing that opportunity. So let's dive into some of the optimization steps, because these are the action steps that I'm going to encourage you to take literally today, so that you can start achieving some of these numbers as well. 50 phone calls a month, just that. I mean, forget even about the website visits for a moment, forget about the direction requests. 50 phone calls a month. These are people calling the front desk because they're looking for a chiropractor. So even if by some crazy circumstance, only 50% of those people became patients, that's 25 new patients in a month into a practice. For 90% of practices out there, maybe 95% of practices, that's more than they do currently. So incredibly impactful and super, super important. So let's dive into the 3 tips that we've sort of outlined. So as we've gone through this process, we've learned a lot, right? So we came into this pretty newbies to Google My Business listings. We had our own for our businesses. The Evidence Based Chiropractor had one. Smart Chiropractor had one. We work with a couple private clients where we've worked on them, but not really at scale. But this scale and this data and these numbers really enabled us to drill down and say, okay, what are these 3 most important things that every doc out there has to do if they want to maximize their conversion, their opportunity, their new patient lead generation, however you want to define that, from their Google My Business listing. Here are those 3 things. Number 1 is verify and confirm your information. Number 2 is update your pictures. And number 3 is post at least 1 time per week. I want to break each one of those down so you understand the action steps to take and why it's so important. We'll start with verify and confirm your information. This might sound obvious, but I'll state it. Either way, I'll state the obvious. If you have the wrong phone number, the wrong website, or the wrong address, all 3 of the calls to action are not going to be working for you, right? Those 3 call to action are click to call your front desk, click to visit your website, or click to have a request for directions. So you want to make sure, tip number 1, optimization, verify and confirm your information. If your phone number is in there incorrectly, you have phone calls going to nowhere. If your website is in there incorrectly, then you're going to have people visiting websites to nowhere. And clearly, if your address is wrong, good luck getting somebody to your practice. So get in there and verify that information. The other thing is keep a keen eye on some of that stuff. Sometimes somebody sets up their information in Google My Business, and maybe you put your cell phone, or maybe you put you might have put a phone number that might not be the best phone number. So double check the phone number. If there's an extension, whatever it might be, make sure that the calls are getting routed to the right place and to the phone number that's being answered the most amount of the day, right? So you want to make sure that if you have multiple extensions, you have it going to the right extension. You want to make sure you have it going to the right person. So the phone number is not just check for errors, get it to the right place. Website the same way. If you have a website that's highly developed, you might want to put a specific landing page in that website area. If not, just make sure that the website is correct. And then directions as well. Make sure, sometimes the address listings get a little weird, and Google's done an incredible job pretty much mapping the whole world, but sometimes there can be little discrepancies, and those discrepancies can limit somebody's ability to find your practice. I've seen it before, especially when they hit directions and then the directions get all weird and it goes, to a crazy place. And if it looks confusing, confusion kills conversion. You want to make sure you have it be as streamlined as possible. So tip number 1, get in there and verify and confirm your info. Tip number 2 is update your pictures. So the Google listings allow you to have some nice pictures. Make sure that your pictures are flattering. So this is an area I think of big concern in many chiropractic practices. I'll go to the listing and the picture is just like, I don't know, do I want to go there? Do you want to go there? Take a look at your own listing and ask yourself the honest question, would I be jazzed about going into this practice? If the answer from the picture perspective is anything but yes, take some new pictures. If you don't feel, so you can take pictures, clean things up, get some bright lighting going on, use your iPhone, take some pictures. You don't have to have them professionally shot, but you should have them look enticing. If you don't shoot pictures very well, you're like, oh my gosh, I don't really know how to do this. Ask a front desk staff member, ask a niece or a nephew, ask a spouse, ask a child, a grandchild, I don't know. Ask somebody else. You probably have somebody that takes really cool pictures on Instagram within your circle of influence. Ask them to take a few pictures of the practice for you and upload some nice pictures. So when somebody visits your listing, that's one of the things that they first look for is, what does this place look like? And your book will be judged by its cover. So take some nice pictures. They don't need to be super expensive or professional, but make sure that they look nice. So tip number 2 is update those pictures. That helps conversion. Tip number 3 is post at least one time per week. Almost nobody out there knows, especially chiropractors, I'm going to say, that you can post to your Google My Business listing. Yes, Google loves content. What is this going to do? It's going to help you get seen more often. It's going to help more people understand who you are and what you're about. It's going to build your know, trust, and like factor. And it's ultimately going to help you rank higher by what we know. So you have to post at least one time per week if you want to be competitive and show up towards the top. And on mobile, these are called updates. If you look at your listing, you click updates. If you're on desktop, you just scroll down below the practice information and you'll see those posts listed there. Now, there's a couple primary post types. There's 4 primary post types with Google My Business. What's new, events, offers, and products. Pretty self-explanatory. What's new is what's new in the practice. Events are events coming up. Offers are any offers you have going on. And products are any new products. So you can see that these are all, again, high call to action, high intent type posts. This is what we do with the Smart Chiropractor. This is where we found our sweet spot. I don't think, and nobody else, in my understanding, within the chiropractic profession is offering this sort of posting. I don't even know anybody, to be honest with you, outside in other healthcare professions. So this is like cutting edge. If you want to take advantage of what's out there, visit this. Again, we have open enrollment going on right now. So visit the Smart Chiropractor. We'll get you hooked up with Google My Business AutoPosting. Because when you post what's new, when you post an offer, when you post a product update, when you post an event, we really focus on the what's new. It keeps your listing fresh. So from a consumer, somebody that's visiting, right, chiropractic near me, and they see that there's active posts, it's like a Facebook page. Does this thing look like a deserted island, or does it look like there's activity? So when there's activity and it looks like there's activity, more likely to convert. And it helps Google understand who you are, what you're about, and will help you rank higher, which gets back to tying into our stats and data, tying into that 165 leads a month for every office that we work with, tying into that 52 phone calls to the front desk, nearly 70 web visits, 69, and 45 requests for directions. So these are the 3 things you really want to keep in mind. Verify and confirm that information, update those pictures, and post at least one time per week. I know 99.9% of chiropractors do not have the time or the expertise to really post and stay consistent one time per week. That's cool. There's no issue with that whatsoever. But reach out and get help where you can. And with the Smart Chiropractor, I hope you can tell we're passionate about this stuff. We geek out on this stuff. We learn and we do it at scale, and that scale can help you. So open enrollment's going on right now. Check it out at thesmartchiropractor.com. And as we come to a close, if you're going to be out of your practice at all, don't close the doors. Use chiroofficecoverage.com. Check us out at Chiro Matchmakers or chiroofficecoverage.com. You can go to either of those places, and we can service you whether you're looking to hire a DC, hire a CA, or whether you're looking for temporary relief coverage. Head over to Chiro Matchmakers. Check out what we have going on. Or if you're listening to this and you're a student or new doc or you moved and you're talent, right? You're saying, man, I'm looking for my next great opportunity. Please head over to those websites as well. Email us. Let us know what's up. We are always looking for awesome talent. We have over 100 jobs open right now across the country. And I think you'll be very satisfied to see our salary requirements, etc. So check out chiromatchmakers.com. Have a fantastic week in practice, and I will talk to you soon.
Thank you for joining us on this episode of the Evidence Based Chiropractor. If you want to grow your practice, come back for next week's episode. If you want to grow faster, visit the evidencebasedchiropractor.com and join our MD Marketing membership today.